We're starting up our Unity of Delaware service a couple minutes early so we can give people an opportunity to get connected with us. We're out in the front yard today where the dogs have an invisible fence so they can be hanging out with us, and it's just a pretty day, so we thought we'd hang out in front today. If the risk, of course, is noise, because our dogs feel it's their responsibility to inform us noisily of any traffic on the street, especially anybody walking, cars going by. So a shrill barking may erupt. If so, probably only for half a minute at that, so we'll try to carry on. But the worst case scenario would be we might have to just kind of take a little pause and get the dogs to go back into the house. But right now it's pretty nice and quiet out here. They're being very, very good dogs, which they nearly always are, right, Bella? Absolutely. Now people are tuning in. It's probably getting close to 10:30 now. We are sure blessed with a beautiful day, so good morning, and thank you for joining us today, all our good friends, Unity of Delaware, and all our friends everywhere. I know it's one of the blessings of Facebook services is that we can have people joining us from Florida and South Carolina and Colorado and all kinds of places. So, and Australia, Richard Rogers out in Australia, and hi Richard, Joe says from behind the camera. So thank you all for joining us. We're going to have a few songs, a little bit of a message, a couple prayers, and of course an opportunity to give the dogs some treats. Buddy, you want to come over and get a couple of treats? What do you think, Bella? Yeah, come on right over here and we'll see what's in here. Huh? Sit down here. You sit right side by side there. Oh, that's so good. Oh, she's so good. She says, I'll take those. These are really cat treats. We got them to kind of help with the integration when we got the dogs, and we had middle-aged cats, and they weren't getting along really well at first, and it really helped to have treats they all liked. We could all have treats together, right, buddy? Yeah. And I have other special treats in my pocket for you today. Joe gets these at the coffee shop down in Dublin once in a while, and they're very special dog bones with some kind of frosting on them. Do you want one of these, Bella? They'll probably take this off to enjoy. Okay. Buddy, you want yours? He says, thank you so much. All right. Okay. Well, good morning. I'm going to ask Joe to come over. We'll have an opening prayer here in just a moment, but as always, I like to share a little bit of humor, lighten the spirit a little bit, lift the spirit, and I think these are messages from put out on church signs, as heading into the physical distancing time and closing of church buildings. A lot of signs went up. I think Linda Hill sent me these, I believe. Here's an assortment of some that were on church signs around the country. It's from a congregational church. It says, wash hands, don't touch face, Hygienesis 24/7. Hygienesis, I thought that was clever. United Methodist Church had put on their sign, what's not canceled? Nature, puzzles, chalk drawing, love, hope. Thought that was nice. First Baptist Church put on their sign, shout Hosanna, but first step back 6 feet. Regency Baptist put out, the Bible has the answers, cleanse your hands, James 4:8. I wasn't familiar with that scripture. Cleanse your hands. Bethany Free Will Baptist put out, Jesus cleans the heart, we disinfect the pews. I like that.
That's a good one.
It's pretty nice. And this one I thought was nice. Services canceled, God making house calls.
That's perfect.
Absolutely true. Absolutely true. All right, thank you too for joining us. We are going to start with a prayer, of course, and a little going into prayer song by Christy Snow. It's just a sweet, easy little chant, and a chant about just really letting everything go, letting ourselves set aside our hypervigilance, our efforts, our trying to fix or control, and just let things be. It's called I Surrender. We'll just do it a few times, an easy chant.
trust and let go. As I surrender, I fall into the arms of love. I fall into the arms of love.
Let's close our eyes for just a moment. Feel that peaceful energy flowing through us. Let it sink deep into us as we just surrender to this moment and allow ourselves to feel the peace of this moment, setting everything else aside, knowing God within and without is ceaselessly doing its perfect work, creating, healing, guiding and protecting, comforting, strengthening. The constant activity of God in us, every one of us, no matter where we are, all living beings across the planet. The healing, restoring, rebuilding activity of God in us. How grateful we are for it. We are wide open to that spirit, that energy this morning during our service, and indeed through the days ahead of us. We are walking by faith, alert to God's guidance and protection. And so it is. Amen. All right. Well, thank you again for joining us. You can just stay right there. We're going to go another song here in just a moment. And so far, so good in terms of noise, huh? We're doing well. We're on a roll.
Don't jinx it.
Maybe I shouldn't say that out loud. The theme today is, has a lot to do with just kind of letting love lead us and not trying to control. So I thought of this lovely song by Claudia, Carawan, and Karen Drucker. I think it was a co-write between them. And we've done it at church a number of times. It's called Let Love Lead the Way. Real easy song, real easy chorus. So as soon as you catch on, sing along with us right where you are. Do that again, right? When my world is not okay, when there's roadblocks in my way, when I feel so all alone, these words will bring me home. Here's the chorus.
Let love lead the way. Let love lead the way. Whoa, oh, oh, oh. Let love lead the way. Let love lead the way.
When we can't see eye to eye, no matter how we try, we can find our harmony if you sing these words with me. You know it now, right?
Let love lead the way. Let love lead the way. Whoa, oh, oh, oh. Let love lead the way. Let love lead the way.
In everything, love will be the gift I bring, to give and to receive, straight from the heart. Each morning when I wake, there's a choice that I can make. In everything I do and say, I'll let love lead the way.
Let love lead the way. Let love lead the way. Whoa, oh, oh, oh. Let love lead the way. 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 Whoa, oh, oh, oh. Let love lead the way. 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 Let love lead the way.
Joe. And thank you all. I'm sure you were singing along on that.
I heard him.
Well, you can get a sense of when people are kind of with you, and we certainly get that sense during this Sunday morning service. We'll do another song and another little ditty in a few minutes, but wanted to share a few ideas today about the idea of normal. There's a lot of talk right now about when things are going to get back to normal and how to get back to normal and what that normal is going to look like. You hear talk about the new normal and so on. So I've really been puzzling over what that exactly means. I stumbled on a quote by Dave Hollis yesterday. It says, "In the rush to return to normal, let's use this time to consider which parts of normal are worth rushing back to." I thought that was a kind of a nice idea to reflect on. And that's part of what we're doing in this time, I think, is that kind of reflection. But I'm not sure the word normal is even very helpful. That's why I took as my title, Normal Shnormal. It's like, it's a strange and shifting term. I looked up the definition of it, and it said, conforming to the standard or common type, usual, regular. And it derives from Latin, normalis, which meant made according to a carpenter's square. So it's very rigid, very fixed shape, something that conformed to that shape, that was normal. And I think in our understanding of that term, it still has a little bit of that rigid or fixed meaning. But in fact, that's not what our lives are like. Normal is actually, it's always evolving. It's always shifting and changing throughout our lives. It might be happening a little faster than usual in the current situation with the pandemic, but throughout our lives, normal has always been a shifting and ever-evolving thing. Think about when you grow up and when you leave home and go out on your own. That's a whole new normal you're getting used to. When you get married, whole new normal you're adjusting to. Or when you have a child, your life becomes very different. Or maybe it's when you get divorced, a whole new normal, always evolving. Or what if you get sick? When we deal with some kind of a sickness or illness, it's almost like we move into a new reality, an alternate reality, a new normal. It's always shifting. And if there's a loss we have to deal with a parent or a spouse or another significant loss in our lives, that's a huge adjustment to a new normal. It's kind of an always ever-evolving thing. And it's not always adjusting to challenging circumstances like many of us are dealing with right now, but just different, just a different situation in our lives that we're needing to catch up with. So it seems to me that's happening all the time, just as it is now, and we are we're kind of being called to shift to something new, a new experience of life, a new reality in some ways, and we don't really know what that looks like or is going to look like. But normal can be kind of a burden we put on ourselves, and can cause a lot of resistance and stress and strain if we're too insistent on it, on maintaining the status quo. It has to continue as it has before. Everything must be the same. I want to get back to that, get normal again. That can be burdensome. And I think it might be a good idea to, in order to be wide open to the possibilities of change and renewal and new visions and new creations, to loosen our grip on that. We human beings are amazingly adaptable, and we have been seeing that in spades lately. It's just been incredible. In a short period of time, in weeks, how amazingly we have adapted. It's like between March 9 and 15, or somewhere in that range, or maybe a couple of weeks in there, we all had to sort of adjust to completely new circumstances, and we learned about social distancing, and we learned about hand washing in a whole new way, and not touching our faces, and giving each other space as a sign of honoring each other's health and well-being. We learned all kinds of ways of catching up. staying home more, limiting our trips out. There's even some very subtle little things, ways we've adapted without even being aware of, because we're just so innately adaptable. It's a God-given gift we have. When I go to the store, our local Whole Foods store here, where we know the employees and everyone is always so friendly, but it's difficult now with everybody with masks on. But I was noticing how so many of the store employees and other people too are making an extra effort to sound friendly and to look friendly in their eyes, or with their gestures, because we can't see smiles now, and it's difficult to feel that same friendliness. And so people are going a little out of their way to try to sound friendly and act friendly, or make sure it's showing in their upper faces. I think that's kind of a remarkable adaptation that I really admire. I think where we really excel, though, is when we bring not just our ability to adapt, which we all have, but our creativity and our love to the circumstances we're dealing with. When we bring creativity and love, our full mind and heart, to the circumstances we're adapting to, that's when we really see creativity in full, creative solutions that are a blessing to us all. Creative adaptation fueled by love. That's how I think about it. And we're seeing it all over the place right now. And it seems to me this is the way we really handle best the always evolving normal. The first one is to drop that resistance. Try to drop that resistance to everything has to be the same. We've got to get back to normal, to loosen up on that so we can bring our full mind and heart to the moment, and can really think creatively about how to meet the circumstances of the moment in inventive ways, in loving ways. Another part of it is to give ourselves permission to think creatively, and that's going on all around us, to imagine new possibilities, new ways of doing things, if we can't do them in the same ways, to think outside whatever boxes we might find ourselves feeling constrained by. To reflect, we want to, third, reflect on what's most important to us, to continue to experience and to carry forward. And quite often that's the intangible things, the relationships we want to continue to nourish, the higher values we want to experience, the peace we want to feel, the love we want to share. What are those most important things? And very often they're not the things we've had to kind of temporarily give up. They go a little deeper than that. And then the fourth one, I guess, is do something new. Try something new. Use your gifts in some way that maybe you haven't had a chance to do until now. Gifts that come out of this kind of creative adaptation, fueled by creativity and love, our full minds and hearts participating, they are gifts to us all, and they inspire us all. And what a blessing it is. We're seeing so much of it going on right now in all the media and so on. We're seeing wonderful examples of people bringing creativity and love to circumstances. I was struck, for instance, I think it was on maybe a CBS Sunday morning show, which we try to watch after the fact, but there was a proud father who was heartbroken for his daughter's sake that she couldn't go through her graduation, her high school commencement ceremony and all that. So in his own driveway, he built a whole stage, podium, dais, the staircase on either side, in the driveway, with banners up for his daughter, and had the graduation ceremony right there as she went up to receive her diploma, and relatives and probably neighbors were at distance, of course, from one another in lawn chairs in the driveway or in the neighborhood, kind of to witness this wonderful, commencement ceremony, very personal. She'll remember that her whole life, that really personal and powerful, kind of honoring of her and her accomplishment by her proud father. What a beautiful solution that was. I think that's amazing when we bring our full minds and hearts, our creativity and our love and our compassion and our caring and our kindness to bear on circumstances. And they're always working together, mind and heart. It's like love provides the fuel, and then our our creative minds come up with ideas to fulfill that desire. Another one that came to mind recently was this very sweet story I caught about a family, they were so concerned about their two little ones not being able to hug their grandmother, they invented something on their front sidewalk which they called a hug guard. Some of you might have caught it. And it was like a big kind of plastic sheet, was decorated up with flowers and things, had hug guard written across the top, and it was kind of like something you would step up to. And then there was, on the outside part of the sidewalk, there was two sleeves for arms that were kind of high, like adult height. And on the inside, on the house side, there were two sleeves for arms to go through these plastic chutes at, kind of children's height. And Grandma was ushered up the sidewalk and invited to have a hug through the hug guard. It was kind of an amazing thing. It was so sweet. I just think that's amazing creativity fueled by love. Creative adaptations that people come up with because they're moved to share their love and kindness, their gifts in some way, to use those to bless others. One more little one I was just kind of struck by was a story I read, and I looked at all their Facebook posts. An American couple living in Italy, Sariano, Italy, about an hour from Rome, and not too long ago they had bought a little place there in the city, and their plan was to write a travel book based right there. They're musicians. They had been regular members of the Nashville Symphony Orchestra. Their names are Matt Walker and Zaniba Bowers. And like probably a lot of other musicians in Italy, but really here also, all around, they started doing an evening concert every evening at about dusk from their balcony, and in both Italian and English, and showing not so much their faces as they're kind of silhouetted. It's the view of their beautiful town they love and the hills beyond it, and they're playing violin and cello, and it's really, really very beautiful. If you wanted to look at them, they're Matt Walker. You could go to his Facebook page, and all their posts are there, and they always start out, Buonasera, Sariano, and then they do these beautiful classical pieces as well as some fun American pieces too, like this little Duke Ellington piece we might try to just do for you in a minute. It's only like a 1-minute little song, but why did they do that? They're using their gifts in a way they can. They said it was to keep from going crazy. We can all relate to that. To use their gifts and as a gift for their community. And they did these nightly beautiful concerts from their balcony, and were widely known in the neighborhood, he said, as that American couple over on the balcony. I think that's a delightful thing, a gift to all of us. When we find these creative adaptations fueled by love, when we bring our mind and heart to the circumstances we're adapting to, it's amazing what we can come up with that's a blessing not just to us, but to many others. These kind of things are boundless right now. Our gifts are boundless. Our gift for adaptability, God-given, seeing us through this time, but also our amazing creativity and the love that fuels that creativity. Whenever we think, what can I do? I know I'm dealing with these circumstances, but what can I bring to the moment to enrich myself and others? Joe, let's do this little song before we have a closing prayer. This is something they kind of invented. Matt Walker, I think, did these revised lyrics. And it's kind of an adaptation of Duke Ellington's Don't Get Around Much Anymore, I think is the original title. Okay. Joe gets jazzy here.
Phew. Don't usually play Duke Ellington on guitar. Ready?
I'm good.
You good?
Do that once again. Don't know what day it is. Gotta go to the store. Stocking up on our vino. Don't go outside much anymore. Cats have heard all our jokes. Swept and mopped all the floors. Seen every show on Netflix. Don't go outside much anymore. The stores all sold out of Lee Avito. So now we're about to make some to the store, stocking up on a vino. Don't go outside much anymore, stocking up on a vino. Don't go outside much anymore. All right, let's hear it for Jazzy Joe.
Oh, yeah.
Jazzy Joe here. Let's hear it for Matt Walker, who wrote that sweet little rewrite. I so appreciate that kind of creativity and talent. So let's just take a moment to maybe close our eyes and offer up a prayer of gratitude and praise. Even with the noise of dogs barking and bicyclists going by. Giving thanks for the beautiful day. Giving thanks for the many blessings we have in our lives and in our own hearts and minds, the creative energy flowing, the peace that steadies us, that ability in us to adjust, to adapt to shifting circumstances at all time, that activity of God to create new things and new blessings in our lives, in our bodies, in our minds, in our spirits, for every one of us, and for our culture and for our world, that activity of God, always creating, always inventing, always spreading the love among us and around us. Thank you, God, for your unfailing presence in our midst. Amen. Well, the dogs chimed in on that one. I hope you didn't mind that too much. I think it might be a little louder to us than it is to you out there. I'm hoping that anyway. Let's see, before we go into...
announcements.
I want to make just a few announcements. You know, Joe and our good friend Michael Contras collaborated on a lovely version of Imagine, playing around with some dual screen stuff, and Michael Contras, and they both recorded and they put it together. They did a great job on it, and it's on our church YouTube channel, isn't it?
YouTube channel.
So you might want to check that out. They shared it with the Unity Men's dinner group last week, and it was really sweet. We want to mention that we think we're going to have Avalon 9 with us to do a couple songs next week. Probably out in the yard where we can give each other a lot of space, if weather allows, so we're hopeful about that. And then we're really excited, first Sunday in June, June 7, Eddie Watkins Jr. and Marianne Mackenzie Gennaro are going to join us. They're going to really kind of be our guest speakers and musicians. We're just going to be tuning in like you are and leaving comments of approval and praise and gratitude. He's down in Ocala, Florida area. They're going to do the service, the message and music.
From the Unity Delaware
right
Facebook
from the Unity
page.
of Delaware Facebook page, as usual. So when you tune in on that June 7th, you'll see our guests, our special guests, our good friends Eddie Watkins Jr. and Marianne. So that's kind of exciting. So as always, there's a PayPal link over in the comments Joe put there if you want to make a donation to the church. We're so grateful for the support that's been coming through, that's enabling us to continue. Thank you so much for that. It means a whole lot during this time. Send in those prayer requests at any time. UnityDelawareOhio.org is our website, and the prayer request button is right up at the top of that page. And we will keep meeting this way as long as we need to. Probably even after we enter back to the building, we'll probably continue Facebook Live. We're working on that to make sure our Wi-Fi is up to that. So that kind of brings us to, except for thank yous, a warm thank you to Joe, as always, for the music.
It's nothing.
He's always working up new songs. He's always working on the technology to make it work better. Much
new
gratitude
toys.
to Buddy and Bella for our acolytes. They do such a great job. And we've been pretty fortunate, not too much barking today. Church staff, okay. And thanks to all of you for joining us.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to come together as a community in this way. I love looking at the comments afterwards and just seeing who joined us online. And we stay connected this way, and we keep each other in prayer. So we're going to do a song we did a couple months ago, I think, but it just seemed perfect for this idea of things are always changing and evolving. Normal is always evolving. The earth is always turning, and we're all okay. It's a Peter Mayer tune called Turn Me Earth.
Turn Me Earth.
Yeah.
Turn the earth to a new sunrise. Turn me into the light of morning. Turn me earth when I close my eyes. Turn me into the night. Turn me earth to a blackbird's in light and dark. Turn me into the light of morning. Turn me, earth, around your star. Turn me into the night. Through the seasons we will go. Turn me into the light of morning. Summer rain and winter snow. Turn me into the night. Turn me, turn me, turn me into the morning light. Turn me, turn me, turn me into the night. Turn me, turn me, turn me into the morning light. Turn me, turn me, turn me into the night. Mother Earth, your child I am. Turn me into the light of morning. I was born for this dance. Turn me into the night. Round and around the sun we fly. Turn me into the light of morning. Thank you for this life. Turn me into the night. Turn me, turn me, turn me into the morning light. Turn me, turn me, turn me into the night. Turn me, turn me, turn me into the morning light. Turn me, turn me, turn me into the night. Turn me into the night. Turn me into the night.
Yeah. Great Peter Mayer tune. If you haven't looked up Peter Mayer before, now's a good time to do so. Well, we just got one more closing prayer we always do together, so I invite you to join me in it, called the Prayer for Protection. Together, the light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. All right. Thank you all for joining us this morning. I think Joe had a bee joining him on that last song. I think he did a pretty good job of not a hummingbird this week, but a nice friendly bee in there. So thank you all for joining us, and you all take care. We'll see you next week. Bye.